Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface, and this week's what if question is, what if this episode was actually pretty decent? Because I thought it was, which was a very nice change considering the first two had been what if Captain America was a whammon and much better than Steve Rogers, and last week's of course was what if Star-Lord was black and much better than Chris Pratt. So, yes, it was nice to actually get away from the identity politics, which this week's episode did not have. Definitely for the most part. And so this is why we have the writer, which is AC Bradley again, and Matthew Chauncey again, who have been responsible for a couple of those turkeys earlier. And it just made me think, how much easier must it be for writers when you don't have to put an ideological agenda into your writing? And this week's was so devoid of identity politics that some websites have started to really reach into a couple of elements regarding Agent Coulson, saying, oh, has Agent Coulson be outed as queer? Why? What did he do in this episode? Well, he said Thor had really nice hair and smelt nice. I think Dan Vasquez got really nice hair and I bet he smells nice, but you know, no offense, Dan. I don't want to. I mean, we can hug. Anyway, so let's get into this week's episode and just go through various points. So the premise of this week is, what if Earth lost its mightiest heroes? Which is an original concept and actually a really interesting concept. And so I was pretty invested from the get-go. It starts off during Iron Man 2, but this world's already different, folks, as we'll discover later on. And Samuel L. Jackson, he's Nick Fury, turns up to speak to Tony Stark. We get the diner scene. The one thing that they do, I said do, is make sure that that Black Widow doesn't get her ass in the shot. You know, where it had that tracking shot. So they made sure to get rid of that, whatever. And then when they inject Tony Stark to, you know, alleviate the problems that he's having with the arc reactor, in actual fact, this time, kills him. And we are off to the races. So not only does it kill him, because it was Black Widow that injected him, she becomes suspect numero uno. Of course, Nick Fury doesn't believe that she's responsible. However, they have protocol, and she is under arrest. So Samuel L. Jackson gives her a device. He gives her the syringe, and she can already get out of the handcuffs and everything because, you know, she's a very resourceful gal. And he wants her to escape and discover what is going on. So I like this. This is a decent premise with an interesting start. So she breaks out of her van. And then we go to Thor. So this is the hammer, Mjolnir. Woo! I was going to call it Jotunheim for some reason. No. Mjolnir has fallen to Earth, of course. It's been thrown by Odin. And then we have Hawkeye and Nick Fury, who've come to check it out. Agent Coulson's here, and he discovers that some of the guards have been knocked out. Why they've been knocked out? Because Thor, this is where he says Thor, he's got really nice hair, comes knocking. Hawkeye has an arrow pegged on Thor. And of course, if you know the movie, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury says to Hawkeye, no, let's see what happens with the hammer when he picks up the hammer. However, when he goes to pick up the hammer, doof. The arrow is loose by Hawkeye, and Thor is killed. So this is, again, this is really interesting because Hawkeye also claims that he did not fire the arrow. So we have Black Widow, who claims that she did not attempt to kill Tony. And now we have Hawkeye saying that he did not attempt to kill Thor. And yet both of them have been killed. So Hawkeye, because again, it's come from his bow, is taken into custody and put into a cell. Nick Fury goes to question him and discovers Hawkeye's dead and has been murdered in his cell. So now we are only about, 30% of the way through the episode. Tony Stark dead. Thor dead. Hawkeye dead. And Black Widow on the run trying to discover what's going on as Nick Fury's eyes and ears elsewhere. This is the scene where Coulson says that Thor smells nice, so must be gay. Let's move on from that. So Scarlet did it again. It's because of the hair. I keep thinking Scarlet G.I. Joe. So Black Widow meets up with Betty Ross. Yes, we get Betty Ross in the MCU this time. And they want to discover what was in the syringe. And Betty works out that the syringe didn't even unload its contents into it. So something else was shot through the syringe into Tony Stark. She asks if she knows where Bruce is. She claims not to. Black Widow sees that there's a pizza delivery uniform, which Betty Ross tries to pass off as being one of her students. And yes, she works out that Bruce is actually hiding at the university with Betty. So she tries to get Bruce out of there. See a little image of the Watcher. Well, it's quite a big image of the Watcher. She tries to get him out of there. Meanwhile, Coulson's going back to the base. He's got the necessary coffee from the local town. They definitely try and camp him up a bit. There's no denying that. I guess the cello's just going to have the celloist. It's just going to have to wait this time. But then, oh my God, what happened? Oh, the forces of Asgard arrive on Earth. Loki, Lady Sif, plus all the others. And they have come for revenge. They have come for revenge for the death of Thor. And so, Loki says he will take this planet as compensation. And he unleashes some of his frost gianty stuff. Meanwhile, Black Widow is trying to get Bruce out of the university or research center, whatever. And Colonel Ross turns up. General Ross, Colonel Ross. I don't know. And he's shot. Bruce is shot with something that none of the soldiers are claiming they fired. And yet, it's now triggered the process, and Bruce is beginning to turn into the Incredible Hulk. So Loki unleashes... Loki's still in conversation. He's still yet to unleash his frosty stuff. Bruce has turned into the Hulk. He now attacks the army. So they're actually taking this pretty much from the Incredible Hulk movie. Black Widow makes sure she gets Betty to safety, but then something's wrong with the Hulk. He can't seem to stop growing and growing, and then poof, explodes. And another of Earth's mightiest heroes fall. So again, this is a really interesting what is going on here episode. Loki is now firing his frosty stuff all over the place. And Nick Fury says, hey, look. Let's negotiate. We didn't kill Thor. We're trying to find out who did. And if we do, you'll get your pound of flesh. We promise. And Loki's like, I don't want a pound of flesh. I want the whole body. So, yeah, Samuel's like, okay. You'll get yours. So Loki gives them the night to find who killed Thor. The sun's just going down. He says, I'll give it to sunrise. Okay. Black Widow is doing some more research. And then she discovers what's going on. She makes a connection. But as she makes a connection, she hears somebody. And then there's smashing. She seems to be thrown all around the place by an invisible entity throwing around, smacking her around. After Black Widow, I thought she'd be okay. She tries to call Nick Fury, and it goes through to voicemail. So she shouts out a voicemail because she knows she's gonna die, and she yells, "Hope! It's all about hope." Nick discovers she's been killed, and he's playing this message back on replay. Hope, it's all about hope. Hope, it's all about hope. And then he gets into his car, and he works something out, and he heads towards Loki. I want to speak to your boss. So, Nick Fury goes to a cemetery. And he looks at before he went to see Loki, there was an object in his glove compartment. And that object was the receiver that he used to call Captain Marvel. However, when he goes to the cemetery, he goes to a very specific gravestone, and that gravestone is Hope Van Dyne, aka the Wasp. In this universe, she was actually recruited as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and killed in the line of duty. And so somebody was plotting their revenge on the Avengers, and it just so happened to turn out to be Hank Pym. Voiced by Michael Douglas as well. And he had done everything. He had shot himself through the syringe into Tony Stark and killed them. He'd shot himself into Bruce Banner when he was still human and able to muck around with his biology inside. He went through Hawkeye's brain and killed Hawkeye silently. He threw around and obviously defeated Black Widow due to size. And Thor, he unleashed the arrow from Hawkeye's bow to kill Thor. So Hank thinks it's going to be easy time to attack Nick Fury, but Nick is very, very quick. His reflexes. And he is smacking Hank Pym around like a bitch. And Hank is wondering what on earth is going on. And then we start to figure out what's going on as multitudes of Nick Furies turn up to laugh. And of course, it's all a Loki illusion. It was Loki who was disguised as Nick Fury to fight Hank Pym and defeat Hank Pym. But then, just as everything seems okay and the villain's been caught, Loki says, do you know what? I'm going to extend my time on this planet. And within 24 hours, all of the nations are now subjugated under Loki, and Loki has control of planet Earth. And we see, the last shot that we see is the Avengers. Not the last shot, but we see the Avengers, the fallen Avengers in their coffins. But then we get Nick Fury traveling away, and he finds a frozen shield of Captain America. And then he says, "Hello, Captain." And behind him is Captain Marvel. Not voiced by Brie Larson. So the hint is that it's now time to fight back. Captain Marvel, Captain America are now going to create a new wave of Avengers to fight back against Loki. So as I said, this was going through the actual story itself. I thought it, for the most part, the story was very well told. There are a lot of the voice actors who came back, original voice actors who came back. Tony Stark, no. Black Widow, no. They did not reprise their roles. The things which I didn't like is they tried to shoehorn in the Joss Whedon humor, which works when you're Joss Whedon because you know how to utilize it, but it fell really flat. I thought in a lot of occasions here and just came across as stupid because this could have been a nice, serious episode which didn't have to have the levity of these silly gags that they tried to throw in every now and again. The acting for the most part was better by some than it has been in the previous installments, and the animation was. It's still, I still do not like this animation. I must confess. Thank you. I still don't think it's particularly up to that much. That's just me. But it was so refreshing just to be able to enjoy a story. An interesting story of what if the Avengers had died? What would happen then? What would the stakes be? How? And we discovered that. And we also discovered how they're going to be able to probably fight back against Loki. So yeah, all in all, I liked. Very little for me to really criticize. There was great focus on Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury, and it felt earned. It was nice to see Black Widow actually doing what she does best, which is espionage, discovering, finding out, being a spy. This was a much better representation of Black Widow than her movie was. Obviously, because the other heroes didn't stick around for long, they were killed pretty quickly. There's not too much I can really say about that. Coulson was the worst part of the episode because they tried to use Coulson as just comic relief, and like I said, it just fell flat for me. But other than that, yeah, I think this was sound and enjoyable. And again, I will stress this one more time. It's so much. It seems to be so much easier for the writers once you're not bogged down by identity politics to actually write a fun and interesting story for people to just enjoy. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and YouTube for live streaming. Links there in the description box down below. I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care and bye for now.